This episode is brought to you by the monthly Manifestation Journal. Step into your dream life with our detailed journal, learn how to manifest, align to your desires, and meet your most authentic self each and every day. Plus, you'll begin to obsess over who you are becoming. Trust me, hundreds of you guys downloaded our freebie Notion template for manifesting, and I knew that I had to bring this journal into a process that brought you to pen to paper every single day through our monthly prompts to help you visualize, align, and attract to your goals, and daily space to journal, brain dump, manifest, jot down to-dos, pleasure practices, and so much more. And my favorite part about it is that I created this journal to be undated, so you can actually start ASAP. You don't have to wait for a Monday or a January 1, which is our entire ethos of the journal in and of itself. And it's really perfect for the goal setter, the daydreamer, the type A, or the free-spirited to manifest anything from your career to romance to relationships to self-love and the best you yet. So head to thebedside.co, and for all podcast listeners, you can use the code MANIFEST to get 11% off your order. That's thebedside.co, code MANIFEST. This is Bedside, a podcast series on a mission to debunk sex. I'm your host, Tatiana, and each week we uncover stories, ideas, and expert information to help guide you on your ever-evolving journey of deep love, relationships, and good sex. Oh, and a little bit of manifestation sprinkled in there too. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bedside Podcast. I'm your host, Tatiana. If you are new here, welcome. If you are a longtime listener, also welcome back, because it has felt like a long time being away on summer break, but we are officially back, baby. I have missed you guys so much. I've gotten so many DMs being like, when is the show coming back? When are you coming back? When's summer break over? And it's been so amazing to hear that from you guys, but also I truly am thrilled to be back. And I really genuinely mean that. And I went into this summer break kind of being like, with a little tiny voice in my head, not crazy, but just a little tiny voice in my head being like, am I going to be excited to come back? Is this something that still feels like a soul calling? And the answer is a full body yes, because I have missed doing this tremendously. And I just feel like that is such a good lesson for anybody listening, just in general, to allow yourself to constantly audit and pivot things in your life. I have been podcasting for so many years now, and it's been such a joy. And this show has taken so many different iterations and kind of grown with me and grown with you guys being the audience. And it's been so much fun. And I really was craving to take a summer break just because output is hard. I think a lot of the conversations I've even had with my friends or other people, other business owners, has been really around a bit of the struggle of just how much content is needed to be created and produced on a consistent, quote unquote, consistent basis by what you, quote unquote, should be doing and how you should be doing it. And so I felt at first actually that I couldn't give myself a summer break. I was like, oh my God, I could never do that. I can't just stop the momentum. I can't just put a pause on things, especially as I had just launched the Manifestation Journal. I was like, I can't do that. And then I was like, wait, but why can't I? Right? And so I was so happy to give myself this permission to allow myself to take a break, because I cannot tell you how renewed and refreshed I feel coming back to this, and excited I feel coming back to this. I also think that I have come to a place in my life where I've really given myself a lot of permission to audit and take a close look at the things that bring me joy in my life or don't bring me joy. And I think I let myself have a real and truthful dialogue with me about those things. And I've just gotten really good at kind of auditing the people that I want to keep in my life and nourishing and nurturing those relationships. And I've become good about making sure that what I do every single day feels like it's fueling me and that it's serving other people, right? And so this honestly ties so deeply into today's podcast theme, which is all about deep health. But I just want to correlate this kind of back to the refreshing summer break I had and maybe give you guys permission in the same way to allow yourself to really check in with what you were doing, how you're showing up, where your energy levels are at. And there's beauty in the pivot, right? Good news, like I said, is that I feel so aligned with showing up here and having this show and having these incredible guests on. Oh my God, I cannot tell you how excited I am for this season because I looked at my calendar already and we're booked out through early 2025 with guests. And some of these guests have been people I have been literally emailing for years. And I cannot believe some of them are coming on the show this season. So all that to say, truthfully, so aligned, so blessed, and just so in gratitude to be showing up here and doing so vibrantly and excitedly. And really, it makes me realize that I am living out on my highest timeline and I am doing what I am meant to be doing. And I want to give you the same words of encouragement to do the same for yourself and allow yourself to audit, allow yourself to pivot, allow yourself to live on your highest timeline. Use the monthly manifestation journal practices to get into this. I have lived out such a beautiful, vivacious summer because of the monthly manifestation process and really allowed myself to get into my health and wellness and live in my true free-spirited present self. And that has been what a lot of this summer has felt like. And I'm just geared and amped up to get into the fall. September is always what feels like my new year. If you're a longtime listener, you know this because on some other episodes around this time of year, I have mentioned how September always feels like my new year. I don't know. There's something about something in the air. It's also the fact that you go through most of your life in academia, most of your early life in academia, having the new year start with the new school year. It's a new chapter, a new you. And so I've always just correlated the new year to September. And it's always felt like my time to reset and refresh after having such a free-spirited, sunny, luscious, salty hair summer, all the things. And I'm honestly just really excited to bring this new season to you. And I feel like a great place to start off is probably one of the episodes where I left you guys off on, which was a lot about where I was in my own health and wellness journey and how I was very excited to go into this summer, taking this break and get into my deep health. So let's start there. So for those of you who maybe hadn't tuned into that episode, I'll give you a quick recap refresh. So in the spring of this year, I went and I got some lab work done because I just was having this inkling that a few things might have been off hormonally, and I really wanted to take a deeper look into my hormones. And I'll tell you kind of the telltale signs. Hormonal acne has been something that I have dealt with for a really, really long time. I worked on curing that and really, really fixing that about, I would say, a year and a half ago. I've got a lot of episodes on my hormonal acne journey. I've got episodes with my facialist, Alicia. She's incredible. I'll link all of these in the show notes about really how I cured my hormonal acne. But that was a big telling sign for me that something was a little off with my hormones. And I felt like I had gotten to this great place where I had cleared up my skin for the most part, but there were still some lingering factors. And I just want to share some of these with you because I actually still am going to head to my OB and get some more deeper hormone paneling, but it's okay. I don't actually feel this crazy need to run and jump on it because I've read a lot of books on this topic. Dr. Jolene Brighton has an amazing book called Is This Normal? And really, really gets into what hormonal imbalances are, what to look out for, what the different signs are. And then also my normal labs panel from my primary care doctor was very, very clear. So I kind of had action items to take. But other things that I definitely was feeling a little wonky on was that I was still getting a bit of a resurgence of hormonal acne after I'd cleared it for a while, but then it kind of was popping back up. I was dealing with a lot of stress. I was dealing with mental health and just brain fog issues and kind of having that 3 p.m. crash that a lot of us have. And you guys, I was kind of dealing with period pain along with weight gain that I just was like, I really am, and I was noticing all these symptoms in tandem with reading Dr. Jolene Brighton's book, Is This Normal? And kind of like piecing together a few of my own imbalances, if you will, and just getting a little bit more education around it and wanting to get more labs done around it. And when I got my lab work done, my hormone panel was looking great. My thyroid was fine, all of those things. But the thing, and I had this inkling, I knew it. I knew it after reading Dr. Jolene Brighton's book. And this is the thing, you guys, we know these things. I feel like intuitively we're like, I'm sensing a little something is off. And I knew it. I got my lab panel back and it showed that I was dealing with insulin resistance. And I was like, this describes everything, because I was dealing with hunger instability. I was dealing with that 3 p.m. crash that I was saying, and just kind of feeling like when I needed food, I needed food, and shaking, just being like an urgency. Okay. And then I also was just really in this cycle of cravings. Okay. More than I had been used to. And if you guys follow me on Instagram, you know that I have this donut series that I was doing for a while. And I still love donuts, don't get me wrong, but I would make this series of me basically going to get a donut once a month, right around my cycle, being like, oh my gosh, I know that I'm in my cycle or my cycle is coming because I'm having an immense donut craving. And I just remember vividly, kind of right before getting this panel done, I had a friend in town visiting. We were doing a ton of food stuff. And I remember getting these donuts and eating them and thinking, holy shit, this is so sugary. And then afterwards, just feeling almost miserable. I just was not in a, oh my God, I can't believe I just ate a donut. I don't really put myself down around food, but more just the physical effects of that sugar was insane. And it was because I think, I believe that morning it was the first thing I had eaten, which is horrible for your insulin levels and blood glucose levels, all of the things. But at the time I didn't know that. And that same weekend, here's another thing. And it just, this is what put me on track. I was I know something's off. I know that I want to get things tested. And I sense this within me. We had also gone to get ice cream, and I normally don't get ice cream because dairy just doesn't settle well with me. I'm not really an ice cream girl. I used to be, but after taking a break from it, I just never missed it and never looked back. And so we went to this amazing ice cream place. I was like, you know what? F it. I'm going to go get myself an ice cream. And this was after dinner. So I wasn't worried about it just being this crazy sugar spike. I'd eaten food beforehand, but I went and got ice cream, and we were walking back to my place after getting it. And it was this level of brain fog just glazed over me. It was so crazy. And I also kind of got in a bad mood because of it. I just became moody, just this brain fog, just lack of clarity. And then I went home. I immediately ran and got my bloat pills, which are incredible. I love the Array bloat pills. And I took them, and within 10 minutes, I felt like a new person. My boyfriend, my friend, they were like, you literally just resurrected. We were spiraling bad and you just resurrected. Thank God you took those and you're feeling better. But it just made me realize that I was food is medicine, you guys. And it's something that I learned when I was going through my journey with hormonal acne, where I was like, wow, I am really witnessing how the certain foods are affecting and triggering me, and other foods are so nourishing and really, really giving me so much life. And it was in this moment that I was like, okay, something's up. I'm really not feeling great around certain foods. And all of these cues, all of these symptoms gave me the inclination to go check it out. So I went and got my labs done. I was shown that I was early onset insulin resistant, which is actually one of the signs of PCOS. And I don't have a PCOS diagnosis. I could go out and get one, like I said. It's on my list. I'm not running to get it. But what I've learned about PCOS is that a lot of people can have PCOS-like symptoms, but not have the whole entire map of it. It's just a hormone imbalance, really. And really wanting to get that back into check, especially as I want to take care of my health in the long run. And so this summer, you guys, I got a glucose monitor, And this is just me doing extra credit. I love like science. I love getting into the numbers. I love understanding why. And so I got a prescription to get a glucose monitor, which is just basically a little like sticker with like a tiny, tiny little short, little kind of like copper needle, I think it is, that and you don't even feel it. And it's just like, I call it a sticker in my head. I was just like, we put on the little glucose monitor sticker and it tracks your glucose spikes. And I learned so much about my body and the way that I deal with stress, the way that I deal with cortisol spikes, the way that I deal with glucose spikes, the way that certain foods affect me. And I really 180'd the way that I approach food as medicine. And I'm telling you, this is not like me telling you to do one thing because health is not one size fits all. I really believe in getting lab work done to tell you what sort of health protocols you need to take. So don't take this as like word of what you should do, but I just want to be an example of someone who is dealing with certain hormonal imbalances, what I am doing. And I've realized from this glucose monitor and how my body works that I love living more in a keto lifestyle. So I love nourishing through fats and proteins first, carbs second. And I cannot tell you how good I feel. I no longer have cravings. I literally do not give a hoot about sugar. Don't give a hoot. I don't care. Who is she? Don't know. Don't know her. I basically busted that to the curb. And I have a little bit of dark chocolate sometimes, but truthfully, and of course, like I'll have a bite of dessert. I'm not a serial killer. All right. But I truly no longer have those cravings. I feel satiated, like truly satiated. And my blood sugar does not go up and down like I was once monitoring. And it stays stable. I know how to feed my body in a way that feels stable and makes it not crash and feel good and thriving and vibrant. And I'm telling you, that alone has been a game changer. So I currently don't have the glucose monitor in. I have another couple in my pantry. I'm going to be probably putting another one in the next upcoming week. And I think I'm going to start like share a little bit more about it on my TikTok and on my page just to give you guys a further glimpse into it. Because when I first did it, I kind of kept it private and just was like, what's up with this? Like, how does this work? And what does this mean for me and my body? But now that I've become comfortable with it and I understand it more, I just want to share so much more about it and how it has helped me and how it could potentially help you. And one of my favorite resources too was, I think her name is Glucose Goddess on Instagram. She's done a ton of other podcast interviews with like other noteworthy podcasters, and it's been so informative to even learn from that lens. She also says, I've heard her say a couple times, she's like, you don't need a glucose monitor to manage your insulin and manage your glucose spikes. It's something that you can truly feel. And I totally agree with her. Like, this was me just going the extra mile, getting some extra credit, being the teacher's pet. But you can definitely do this without actually having to put in a monitor. It's something that is really simple, and she gives a ton of tangible advice around even just simple things like what to eat before you maybe want the donut or the slice of cake or the bowl of pasta, right? Like, have your veggies first. And it kind of gives you a really easy protocol to follow to manage that. And I like it's so cool. I don't know if you guys have read the book Outlive. It's something I'm working through right now, reading up on right now. And glucose spikes are no joke, you guys. They really can affect your health if you are spiking too much or if you are dropping too low. And it's really important to kind of stay up on your health, your deep health. And that was what my summer was all about. And what also has really helped me in kind of my process of deep health has been a lot around cycle syncing and leaning into this strong line of communication between me and my body, you and your body, and really kind of examining the shoulds and making the shoulds from society super apparent before you push your body to do something that maybe it doesn't want to do. And this is where I feel like our bodily autonomy and our body intuition really, really steps to the forefront. And you don't need to be a menstruator to understand this. I think so much of media tells us what to do, how to do it, all of the trends that we should be hopping on. And it really leads us to kind of this like health burnout cycle of like all the things we think we should be doing to be one way. And I think especially a lot of us who have been conditioned heteronormatively, especially like women, the mindset shift that you feel around when maybe you're like looking in the mirror or your health feels off and you suddenly, and like the first thing you think to do is, oh, well, I probably just need to like get on my workouts and nutrition, and that is the answer. And the thing is, that's one aspect of your answer, especially when it comes to deep health. There are 6 pillars to what deep health is and what it means for you. And of the 6 pillars, only one of them is physical, your workout, your nutrition, your movement, all of that. And I think culturally, a lot of us jump to conclusions being like, oh, like I just have to fix it all. I just have to fix it all. And I'm going to do it by just getting skinnier and working out and like reeling in my nutrition and like snatching up. And yes, that's important. But I want to talk today about all of the different components that contribute to deep health and how it has worked for me, how it's shifted my own ability to take care of myself. I actually have never felt better. It's so wild. And I am really inspired to share this with everyone because I feel like just that cultural innuendo is so troubling and it causes so much harm to so many people to think that, oh my gosh, well, if things aren't feeling right, it must be because I need to do better here and here. And I actually want to flip that on its head and change our mindset around how we can actually approach deep health, because I can't tell you like so often. And like, this is like, I'll use myself as an example because one of my symptoms was that I was experiencing weight gain. You don't think to jump to the conclusion of, oh my gosh, I'm experiencing weight gain. Like maybe I actually need more sleep, but maybe you actually need more sleep. Maybe your body is so freaking stressed and amped up with cortisol and you just need more sleep and you need a de-stressing routine. You need a routine for emptying your stress jug. But our brain goes to like, oh my gosh, I need to like run harder, right? So I am really excited to get into all of these different components. So here are the components of your deep health. 6 different pillars. First one, starting with physical, what we've been talking about. Feeling vibrant, feeling energized, thriving, performing and functioning well, movement, nutrition, diet, exercise, all of that, okay? That's one pillar of our deep health. Then we have emotional. This is experiencing a full range of emotions and expressing them appropriately. We have environmental health and knowing your everyday surroundings for your well-being and supporting your health and well-being. Then there's mental, existential, and relational, okay? So we'll get into all of these. Physical, emotional, environmental, relational, existential, and mental. This is all of the pillars of your deep health and what it means to be well, all right? And like I mentioned, for me, a big thing was getting into my cycle syncing and learning to listen to my body and develop that deep intuition around the body's inner knowing system. So I got my labs done. I highly recommend getting any lab work done. Workouts obviously is super important. But the thing around workouts that I want to drive home is that it's not something that you need to be doing the most around. And that's something that cycle syncing has taught me. It's allowed me to listen to my body and actually be like, is this the workout that I need right now? Or what sort of movement is my body craving? Does it just need some stretching because I'm deep in my luteal phase? Or am I feeling so energized and in my follicular and feeling like I can go for a run or feeling like I'm ready to like lift some crazy heavy weights and just get into my resistance training? And the other thing too around our physical health is that we don't want to be running our bodies on E, okay? This was a big, big learning lesson for me because I kind of like I was alluding at the beginning of this episode, talking about content and creating and output, right? So many of us are trained to just go, 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 to expend at all costs. And the thing is that our body actually adapts to this. it is a smart little system. And learning to sleep for only 6 hours a night is something that we can do. Fun fact, women need 9 to 10 hours of sleep every single night. 9 hours, new study came out. Women need 9 hours of sleep, 10 hours on your menstrual cycle, okay? I would argue 10 hours in your luteal phase as well, okay? This is so important. I also love, finally a study came out. We finally decided to test women on sleep because women are not tiny men. So much of research, you guys, is just people making women tiny men, taking the same stats and just shrinking them down a little bit and applying them to women without actually studying women, which is bonkers. But yeah, my point is that we don't want to run ourselves on E, and our body does adapt to that, but we cannot outsmart the body. We think that, but the body is going to start telling you some vital signs. It's going to be screaming it's not in homeostasis. How does it do this? It impacts your skin. It impacts your acne, your mental health, your performance, your brain fog, your clarity, your relationships, your ability to task manage and focus, all of these different things. Oh my gosh, it can cause things like autoimmune and hormonal imbalances and get you in a place where you are dealing with insulin resistance like me. And, if you don't catch that, that could get you into a place where you're dealing with type 2 diabetes. These are real things that we need to let go of this hustle culture of running on empty and doing things at all costs, because for what? That has honestly been my motto this summer. I'm for what? Why? What's the point of doing that? What is it going to do for you? Is it giving you an outcome? Because I'm guarantee it's not. 95% of the shit, it's not actually giving you an outcome. I always say, what is the thing that I can do with the least effort that gives me the most value, the most output? And how can I also do so imperfectly, show up imperfectly, just get it done, try out, do the thing and not obsess over it. And so when it comes to our bodies and taking care of ourselves, it is so important in the physical aspect to not let yourself get to empty, to not get yourself to that place of burnout time and time again. And not to plug the manifestation journal, but to plug the manifestation journal. This is why I created this manifesting process, because I was so sick of hitting burnout so often. I was okay, all right, no worries. I'm just going to pick myself all up again and put myself together and try again, right? And I just kept hitting those same walls until I actually decided, you know what? I gotta reverse engineer this. I gotta do this my way. I gotta listen to my intuition. I gotta listen to my pace of play, all right? Because it's not at 100% all day, every day. And cycle syncing taught me that. And your deep health is going to tell you that. It's going to tell you you can't do that because we're not going to get anywhere productive with this. So anyways, kind of looping this back into really how to take care and nourish your body in the physical sense, allow yourself to lean into the types of movements that speak to you on a given day. Lean into that intuition of how you want to move, how you want to eat, how you want to nourish. So overall, you guys, when you look at your deep health, your physical health should be making you feel energetic. Your body should be performing and functioning well, and things should be feeling good. All right. And it's not a direct correlation to how you look, which culture tells us, which media tells us. It is how you feel. And your body is going to be telling you, oh, I feel rested. I feel vibrant. I feel energetic. I feel ready for the day. I'm not crashing. I'm feeling like I can take on all of the to-dos. I can take on all of the stressors that life is throwing my way without personalizing them or making them bigger than they actually are. And so when we take our deep health into consideration, especially around our physical health, that shifts everything. And I'm telling you, do not ignore sleep. Sleep is one of the most important things that impacts our health. So look at your physical in so much more than just your nutrition and your movement. Yes, that's important. Side note, I learned recently that doing resistance training, I always need a why, you guys. I need a why behind the things I do. Resistance training is something that helps with your blood sugar management. So this is something that has been exciting me in my own wellness process of being okay, yes, I resistance train and I lift heavy because it's helping you with XYZ. And so just learning about what helps you and your body and doing it for a reason without just being I'm taking up all the wellness trends just because that can be stressful in and of itself is really, really helpful. So anyways, just to kind of tie this up in a bow, when it comes to your physical health, yes, look into your movement and nutrition. Look into cycle syncing and really how you can work with your own cycle in your body's intuition, telling you how it's best going to function. Don't knock sleep. It's one of the most important things that we can look into. And if you want to kind of take things a step deeper, go get your lab work done. It's something that I think is really important to do on an annual basis, and make sure that you're just kind of staying up on what, your body is needing and having a purpose behind that. All right, the next is emotional. So I feel like this is a great place. We've kind of been skirting around it to talk about how to manage your emotional health. And when we're looking at our deep health, when it comes to emotional health, we want to be experiencing a full range of emotions and expressing them appropriately. All right. So my favorite word these days is emotional regulation, i.e., feel your feelings, feel your emotions, but don't make them other people's fucking problems, all right? So many people walk around this world really, really emotionally dysregulated, which is not our fault per se. I think a lot of people have learned to suppress kind of their emotional well-being. They put so many other people at the forefront and leave them last in the game. But I would say that really getting on top of our emotional well-being is such a gift to self. And if that might look like going to therapy, having a therapist, speaking to someone, having an outlet, please go do that. I cannot give and sing enough high praises for going to therapy. It has been so important to me at different points in my life. Right now, I'm currently not in therapy, but I feel like it's because it's gotten to a place where I have given myself plenty of tools around said emotional regulation and management, and allowing myself to healthily express emotions without feeling like I'm attached to them per se. And I think a big one that many of us can relate to is even just stress management. This follows heavily under the emotional category. And really, I think a big telltale sign is if you're waking up every day and you are just feeling constantly stressed, this is something to examine for yourself. And I want to share with you guys a process that I have for myself, because I am someone who definitely runs stressed. I think part of it is a bit genetic, but I'm sure when you look at that breakdown, it's actually not even. Like, I believe that it is something that I have put on myself for a while. And it's something that I realized I really wanted to control and felt like it wasn't controlling me per se. So I started doing this thing. Please run with this, take it, implement it. But I started doing this thing called emptying my stress jug. So we'll do a quick little analogy. Let's say you wake up every day and your stress jug is empty. But throughout the day, it fills up with little mini stressors, all right? I don't know, maybe your boss sends you a message before working hours that's really urgent. Maybe you get a to-do that you don't have time for. Like little tiny mini things that are just kind of droplets filling up this metaphorical stress jug. At the end of the day, and if you find yourself, I've spoken on this on different mental health episodes. You can go tune into my mental health story from rock bottom to up level to hear more about this. I speak of this analogy. But when you get to a place where you don't empty it, it just starts overflowing. And at one point it feels manageable, but then it just is spilling out to every facet of your life and your well-being. And what we want to do is manage our stress jugs, and we want to empty these at the end of every single day so that it doesn't become something that spills over and out of the seams of our life and feel like it's uncontrollable. So for me, emptying my stress jug every day is a pretty simple task. And again, it's a reason why I do certain wellness routines. I have a reason for everything. I'm not just doing it because. So a few of the practices that I do, and then I'll back into the deep health reasonings, but a few of the practices that I do include going for a long evening walk. I love to end my day closing my computer, letting go of screens, and going out into nature and just walking, getting some fresh air. To me, that is the best way possible to end my day. if I can't squeeze in a walk, or in addition, I love to jump into cooking. I love to get ingredients, chop things up, put on a good playlist, and really let go. Sometimes I'll even do a quick little meditation to reset and clear the energy from the day and get into my evening wind down ritual. This is so important because I need to put a close to the day. I need to say, okay, enough, because otherwise I will be that person lying on my couch, watching Netflix with my computer open, doing design work, sending emails with my phone next to me. Like, it gets out of control. Okay. I know you all know exactly what I'm talking about. It can get a little bit wild over here. And so I have to clearly put certain boundaries around what it looks like to empty my stress jug. So in a physical sense, like I said, it means moving my body, getting outside, getting fresh air, maybe cooking and doing home cooked meals. In a environmental sense, I also love to tidy up the house. It feels super relaxing to me. It feels like I am just resetting. I'm putting dishes away that kind of got all over the place and putting laundry away. I am, maybe wiping down different surfaces. Like, to me, that feels so important just to cleanse. Sometimes I even light Palo Santo, or I'll put on an incense. And this all has a reason, because it's like kind of bringing me into the next chapter of really closing a day down and clearing that space out. I think too, a huge one for me, has been boundaries around any sort of working hours and even around relationships, right? So I now implement this thing called phone office hours, where by 8 p.m. my phone is on the counter charging and it's on do not disturb. And I am not looking at it because I don't want the notifications. I don't want the late night requests. I don't want friends thinking that they can FaceTime me. I love my friends dearly, but I don't want to talk to them at like 8:30 at night, 9 at night. I want to be doing my own routine. I want to be doing my own things. So that has been huge. And I think too, this is an interesting thing that I think I've learned and picked up in my summer break from the podcast, but also just emotionally feeling a little less identified so deeply with showing up and the work that I do. And even though I love it so much and it gives me so much life, also like just being like, it's fine. Like, I don't need to be so wrapped up and always posting on my Instagram stories, like it's going to be okay. And so I think that has really helped so much in like emptying my stress jug of the own pressures that I historically would put on myself for how I need to and how I should be doing things, And that has been amazing. And then I always too I do this mostly in the morning, but this is part of emptying my stress jug because I call it setting the tone for the day, which is my process in the morning of quickly meditating. I do a quick 10-minute meditation. I open my monthly manifestation journal. I journal a page. I list out my pleasure practices and how my archetype's showing up that day. And I just really feel into what this day is going to be for me and what I'm giving myself in the day, in the midst of all the other like to-dos that I have to do. And I am balancing. I'm constantly being like, okay, there's a reason I made the to-do list. I don't even call it a to-do list, actually. I forget what I label it in the journal, but basically a list of what needs to get done for the day section is equally as long as the pleasure practice list section. And there's a reason for that, because for every output, there needs to be an input. And it has been so amazing for really overall my emotional well-being. So I hope you run with that. I hope you take this concept of the stress jug and build your own routines, build your own pleasure practices around it, because it is gorgeous, delicious, slurp it right up. It is the zest of life. The next category that I want to get into is relational. So your relational health is so important. I've done tons of episodes around this. I have had our Quickies co-host Amanda Blair talk about this frequently. And one specific episode that stands out to me that I will link in the show notes is how to meet new people and expand your circle, because relationships matter the most. I think there's this saying out there that the 5 most people that you encounter with and have relationship with is a representation of who you are. And so take that to heart. whether it's the friends that you see most, the community you associate with most, the coworkers you see most, like that is a representation of you and honestly your potential. And when you take the time to audit your relationships and make sure that you are surrounding yourself with the people who support you, that you support, that you both are equal cheerleaders for, that feels really fucking good, that is going to take you to the nth degree. That is going to take you to your highest freaking timeline. That's going to be taking you to executing and living out the most beautiful life that you see possible for yourself. So if you are feeling low vibration, low energy, bad fucking vibes around people, you don't have to put up with that. Just want to say. And I won't get too into this because if you want to hear way more about this, that episode I mentioned on how to meet people and expand your circle gets very, very into auditing your relationships. But Amanda, my Quickies co-host, talks a lot about circles of closeness and this idea of you being in the center of the ring and the circles of your relationships expanding outward, going from you in the center to your closest friends and family, to your good friendships, to your acquaintanceships, to your community, and all of those different pillars of what relationships look like in your life. And we should be striving to have thriving relationships in all those different categories, being close friends, acquaintanceships, community. Take a second to take inventory of what relationships look like in your life, what feels really good, what might feel like it's a little bit lacking or needs a little bit more love. I remember when I first moved to Los Angeles, I was like, okay, I've got my boyfriend, I've got a couple close friends who we are connected through distance. I was living basically in LA when I first moved here with my boyfriend, and I didn't have any really close friends or family physically around. And so I had to be like, okay, I can note that I have great people in my life, a great support system in my life, but I am missing certain things. And what does that look like? And how do I need to begin filling those different categories of getting involved in the community, of making acquaintanceships, networking with other people who are inspiring business owners, of making just good girlfriends, all the different things. And it took time. I always say it takes 4 years. My mom taught me this, and it is Bible, you guys. It's always true. I even remember looking back on it and being like, yep, that's true, even for college, where it takes 4 years to really feel like you are a part of a community. It takes 4 years to really feel like, oh my God, like this might be what feels like home right now. And I'm approaching that 4th year right now in Los Angeles. 4 years will be October, which is so crazy because it kind of feels like yesterday. I'm like, where did the time go? But I was getting coffee with my boyfriend the other day and we were sitting outside and we had run into a couple of people. I had this crazy instance. I've been having these crazy instances, side caveat, where I've just been running into so many different people who like kind of have felt like have been universally and divine placements in my life. I'll give you a quick example. Actually, 2. So I was going into this coffee shop and I never really go. If you guys are from LA, it's Maru, and it's just this like really expensive coffee shop, but it's so good. I try now. I don't really go out for coffee. I have got the Breville espresso maker. I freaking love it. It is incredible. I love making my coffee at home. I'm kind of obsessed, and I don't like getting it elsewhere because now I just love how much my way of making it is. But we went into this coffee shop that we barely ever go to, and this girl is buying her coffee. I'm waiting for mine, and she has the cutest little cowgirl boots on. And I was taking a photo secretly. And then she like turns up and looks at me. She didn't catch me taking a photo, but she like looks at me and she was like, wait, I know you. And I was like, hi, do you? And she was like, yeah, did you go to Syracuse? And I was like, yeah, I did. Then I was like, wait, I actually know you. You were in my gym in 2019 back on the Lower East Side in Equinox, and like you had introduced yourself to me in the same way. We know a couple of mutual people. We never had met each other at college, but I had remembered from when she had first introduced herself to me years ago when we both were living in New York that we had kind of had similar circles. Anyways, so I was like, wait, I recognize you. Holy shit. And she's like, yeah, I live in this neighborhood now. I was like, no way. We exchanged numbers. It was hysterical. We're like, what's your name, by the way? Like, hi, we should absolutely hang out. What's your name, though? And then it just felt like this totally magical moment where I was like, I said to her, I was like, thank you so much for introducing yourself to me, by the way, because I truly feel like we were definitely meant to know one another. We were definitely meant to be friends in some capacity because we keep being planted in front of each other. And now we need to take the opportunity to actually hang out. And that was so cute. I ran into her a second time again. And then the other day I went to the dentist and it was this like whole ordeal where I had to make a last minute appointment because they thought I had a cavity. And I ended up going and in total resistance because I'm trying to switch my dentist. But I decided, you know what? I'm just going to go make a last minute appointment. They didn't have any appointments. And then I said, oh, I think I have a cavity. And they're like, okay, come in. So I went in and my dentist ended up being a temp because the actual dentist who owns the practice is out for a couple weeks on summer vacation. And I'm sitting in the chair and the dentist comes in after like the tech did all the cleaning, just to like see if I had a cavity. And she comes in and she goes, "Hi, Tati." And I literally look up and I was like, hello? And I look over and who was it? One of my best friends from second grade all through high school who we had just kind of like lost a bit of touch just as life happens, as college happens, as post-grad happens, all the things. And I had known that she was studying dentistry out here, but I knew she was like way far out, like practicing somewhere else. And we ended up rekindling. She was so cute. She's like, come to my office. We ended up shooting the shit for like 45 minutes. It was crazy. So long story short, I have been having all of these like moments of people planting themselves in my life that I'm like, wait, I'm going to actually activate on this. And I say all this because I remember when I first moved here and I went through big friend breakups and I felt so lonely and I was really establishing myself. Now I'm at this place where like everything is just seamlessly coming into place. And we were having this conversation at the coffee shop, my boyfriend and I, where we were like, gosh, it really takes 4 years, doesn't it? Like to really be like in a community and feel like you are a part of something bigger. So long story short is relational deep health is so important because we want to be connected to people. It is a human instinct. Number one, we want to feel authentic with others. We don't want to feel like we are holding ourselves back or dimming our light. That's a huge theme on this podcast. We talk about all the time, like being in so many instances where many of us have had to dim our light for the sake of other people, and how living that way is so sad on the soul, honestly. And we deserve, I was talking to my friend who's the dentist who I ran into because she was telling me she had just gone through a breakup. I told her, I said, you know what? We all have permission in our lives to go from good to great. We all have permission in our lives to go from good to great. You might be in dynamics. You're like, well, this is good. It's good enough. You know, we're like, okay, well, it's fine. I'm lucky that I at least have this, right? But you have permission to go from good to great. You have absolute permission. I just like want that to like penetrate your little ear holes right now. Like you absolutely are deserving of greatness through and through, including all the relationships in your life. That is something that I've worked on for so long and I'm finally seeing it come to fruition. So if I can kind of be a beacon of light for you, let me be that. I noticed that come into solidity this summer and it just feels so damn good because it means the world. And I think many of us operate this mindset of more is more, bring more on. Even like when I look back at I've spoken on this on other episodes. When I look back at different moments in growing up and being like, okay, well, you know, you want as many friends as possible to just like feel good about yourself. And then as I get older, I'm like, you got to whittle that down. You have to choose people who choose you. You choose one another. You actively are both participants in your life. And anyways, making you feel like you belong and feel supported. And that is a huge component of our health and wellness. Next up, you guys, is environmental health. I won't go on and on and on about this, but the importance of environmental health in your deep health is knowing that your everyday surroundings support your health and well-being. Okay? That includes friendships. That includes relationships. That also includes your physical environment. And it's not that we need to be in $1 million mansions, which I know we're all manifesting the highest good and the most beautiful living spaces for ourselves in our future. And our future selves already live and claim and breathe that. It is there. But I am saying that we can make the most out of our environments so intentionally without it needing to be a vanity thing. Okay? I'm talking deep cleaning. I'm talking spring cleaning. I'm talking about those tidying resets that you do every night before you start your evening as a routine and emptying your stress jug. I'm talking about the environments in which you work out in. Do you like your gym? Do you like the HIIT classes you're going to? Do you like the Pilates class you're going to? I remember being like, holy shit, I hate this one gym I go to because I hate the music that they blare. And I ended up switching gyms and changing that environment, and it has made such the difference. And we have a choice in the environments fundamentally, for the most part, that we hang out in, and we can take the autonomy to make sure that we feel supported in those spaces, that those spaces are supporting us for our utmost well-being. And then also another caveat I want to add into the environmental deep health is taking vacation, taking a break from your spaces and your routines that you are constantly in. I don't know who decided to say that not taking your PTO is a badge of honor, but that is a lie. I love being out of office, baby. I think it is so, so important to have that mental health reset, refresh, to see new things, to get inspired by new things. So take your freaking PTO, you guys. That is one thing I beg of you to do, is to do that. And if you're like, well, I don't know if I can go on a crazy big vacation, that's fine. Have a staycation. Take a weekend getaway. These things are so, so important for our wellness, for our stress, for our happiness, for our stimulation, for our purpose, which gets me to the next pillar of our deep health, which is existential, feeling a sense of meaning and purpose in our life, okay? Feeling that deep inspiration, that deep zest for life, that joy for life, that excitement for what's to come, and also loving what your current present moment is, the now, and really, really savoring that. So connecting yourself to that purpose is just so important. Finding that sense of stimulation, like I said, through PTO and like vacations, but even taking time on your weekends to really, really just live in that joy and chase those pleasure practices and things that light you up from the inside out. And I'm telling you, it's gonna show. It's gonna show. You can read it from a mile away. You're like, oh, I can tell you're prioritizing that. So that is major. And then the last pillar to your deep health is mental health. And I really like how deep health differentiates mental health from emotional health. You know, the idea of your emotional health being experiencing the full range of emotions and expressing them appropriately, but your mental health just being alert, focused, competent, thoughtful, learning, remembering, solving problems well, like feeling like you're not hitting those crashes or those brain fogs is so, so important. And I think like in tandem with emotional health, like that is that dynamic duo that you're like, hi, I'm feeling good. And I really love to make time even for my mental health by, of course, getting a ton of sleep. Like that, I feel like is when your file system, I literally think of like when you're sleeping, like the folders in your brain are like reorganizing. The books are going back in the library spots and slots. Like things are sorting, processing. And I love how sleep really gets into that. But I also think that really a huge thing when it comes to mental clarity and focus is also having time for contemplation. I had mentioned that a big thing for me in the mornings is meditation and taking time to journal, all of that sort of stuff. And I think that is such an important part of having that mental clarity, right? And that is also intrinsically connected to that existential deep health, right? Like having that level of purpose and knowing what your eyes are on the prize for. And a big thing for me has been really around if you are noticing that you are dealing with thought patterns that you are wanting to change and dealing with lack of clarity and really struggling to focus, like these are all really important things to consider and to create practices around for our well-being. So I would say like mindset is a huge thing to practice. Like I mentioned, I think therapy is amazing, but if you feel like you have the tools kind of readily available, I love practicing and changing a lot of my thought patterns and kind of rewiring my brain and getting into those like good feeling affirmations through journaling and through deep meditation and that time for contemplation. And I find that that helps so much with just the level of clarity that I feel throughout the day. Nourishing also helps so much with being alert and focused and making sure that you are getting the proper nutrients. Like I said, food is medicine, and allowing yourself and your brain to function at its highest capacity. So that is a huge, huge deal. Anyways, I just wanted to share this episode with you guys overall, just to quickly review. The 6 different pillars for your deep health are relational, physical, emotional, environmental, mental, and existential. And these are all of the components that actually encompass your entire health in its whole, in its entirety. And listen, health and wellness is trial and error. I am not here telling you that I have anything down perfectly. I'm always a work in progress. I believe it is something that is ever changing. It's ebbing and flowing. You're moving with it as you move with the other dynamics going on in your life. And so that's kind of probably the coolest part about it. It's not like I'm going to sit here and tell you the 10 routines that I and everyone else should be doing, right? Like, I don't even stick to all my routines. I give myself the flexibility that I need, that my deep health is calling of me, because it's such an intuitive process. And I think we need to kind of take that autonomy back, listen to others with a little bit of a discerning ear and being like, okay, well, maybe that works for you, but what is actually something that I want to work for me and that I know is going to work for me? And working with your body, not against it, and really allowing yourself to listen to those cues. Like, your body is in constant communication with yourself. It's constantly telling you what's up. It's constantly telling you what you need and how you can take care of it. So I am just excited to share this with you. And I hope that it inspires you to take a closer look at what your deep health means for you. I think a great action item is to take all of these pillars of deep health and kind of jot down, pull out your notes app, pull out a pen and paper, think of it in your mind of where you feel like you are doing well in your deep health, what categories you feel like you're thriving in, and maybe other categories where you're like, I could probably take a deeper look into that, or I definitely have not given that much thought before. So I could take a closer peek into what enhancing that might look like. And I love taking inventory. I think it's a really nice way of looking at your life in the present moment, at what you've been feeding and what maybe you have been not nourishing as much, and allowing yourself to be in a constant process. And we're not striving for perfection here. I'm not like looking for A's across the board in all versions of our deep health. Like, that's not realistic, you guys. And I don't think that we should put that level of pressure on ourselves to like have everything perfect all the time. I think it's just a matter of finding that equal distribution amongst these categories, seeing how you can nourish in different seasons of your life and what that might look like for you. Even when you look at the relational category, there might be times in your life where you're feeling more social than other times. Don't beat yourself up for maybe being in transition or feeling like you're having less of a social life, or, wanting to stay in more, right? Like, these are all things that we need to listen to and tune into and use our own inner knowing system to tell us and give us the right cues. So I hope that this gives you like that zing of inspiration to look at your health in such a deeper and more holistic way, in a way that isn't filled with shoulds and that isn't so deeply regimented. Like, if you want to sleep in, but you always wake up at 5:30, like, let yourself sleep in. It's not that serious, I think, is really what I'm getting at. And I am excited to continue kind of getting into my own levels of deep health. I know I was kind of explaining at the beginning kind of some of the more like intense things I'm looking at, especially with like my glucose spikes, all that stuff. Yes, I like doing that, but also it's not that serious. Like, have the donut. It's okay. So anyways, I'll keep you guys updated on my rituals and kind of what I'm up to throughout the season as we go along. I am going to be releasing an episode next week with a guest that I am mind blown that we got her on the show. I'm telling you, I've been reaching out to her team for years. And then they like randomly emailed me one day and I was like, is this pinch me. Like, is this real? So we're going to be talking so much more intently about the cycles, about your deep health, about what it looks like to use cycle syncing as a tool, and what looking into your hormonal health might look like. So while I might not necessarily be the expert here talking about different hormonal wellness innuendos and all of the different kind of tips and modalities that we can be approaching looking at our hormone health as, I do see myself as someone who is kind of just like us. Like, I am like you, the listener, just eager, curious, wanting to better my routines and learn from the best. And I'm just going to keep you posted in my own journeys alongside learning from the experts as well. So that's what honestly the show is all about. And it's what makes it so fun. I never really pinned myself as kind of like the pinnacle of health, but I'm here just learning and doing my best as well. And honestly, having fun along the way. So I hope that you love this episode, and I hope that it served you in some way. I also hope that this episode brought you a lot of inspiration to take a closer look at your deep health, look at what it might look like to kind of manage your stress jug, empty that every day, and create your own rituals and tools that benefit you for your well-being. With that said, I hope that you loved this episode, and I will catch you next week. Bye, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Bedside Podcast. I hope you loved this episode as much as we did making it. If you have any feedback, questions, or suggestions for future episodes, or if you just want to chat, don't hesitate to reach out to us at The Bedside on Instagram and thebedside.co online. You can also find us at By the Bedside on TikTok. To stay updated on our latest episodes, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your preferred platform. And if you found this episode valuable, I would so greatly appreciate if you could leave us a rating, a review, text it to a friend, share it to your Instagram stories. Let's get this message out there loud and clear. Until next time, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.